Okay, guys, let's see. Can we get started here? Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm a bit late, guys. Some technical issues, as you can probably hear. Okay, I'm just going to check my levels live this time. See what that sounds all like. Just want to see what that sounds all like. Okay, I'm hoping that's loud enough for you guys. If it's too loud or too quiet, please let me know, because I do have a few extra bells and whistles with me this week to try and increase the volume of stuff. I've noticed that sometimes, depending on the class, sometimes my bouzouki's too loud, or sometimes the violin's not loud enough, or whatever. So please let me know if the audio needs turned up or down at any stage. Okay, let's have a look at today's stuff. Today we're going to be doing, now please apologize, I apologize for my, well, I was going to say for my performance of this, but also for my pronunciation of this. Is it Sam Cormier? I think this is a tune from Canada, so it could be from Quebec. Sam Cormier's Reel. And if I'm not mistaken, when I open this up, I'm just going to check as well that it's actually, we know who the composer is as well. Again, this is anyone who is listening to Olivia Barrett's Facebook group will probably be able to correct me on this, definitely. And when I look at that, guys, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking of Denis, but it could be Denis Langto. Now, I'm thinking of that as French Langto, but it could be Langtot for all I know. But I'm thinking of that as Langto. Please correct my pronunciation if it's wrong. So the tune is called Sam Cormier's Reel by Denis Langto, or it could be Denis Langtot for all I know. Okay, but at least we know who the composer is. So that's going to be today's tune. Okay, so apologies for my awful pronunciation if it's completely out. First thing we need to do, as usual, is listen. Listen and listen and listen. And then when you think the listening is done, you listen some more. So here is the actual tune performed by a real musician. The Reel on the Fiddle by Olivia Barrett. Go check out, as usual, her Facebook page and her album as well. And fantastic fiddle player. So let's have a wee listen to her playing this tune in E. I think this is the tune here. Yeah, it's E. I was going to say, let's listen to it again, because that's just great. I'm going to listen to it one more time. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize that and let's go over to Bouzouki Cam and let's see, can we get the everything activated? As usual, my Bouzouki Cam, even though I don't change where I'm sitting For some reason, the camera is never quite right. Just let me go in and just change this the other way. Up. There we go. Sorry guys, it's 2 seconds to get the camera angle right and get the microphone out of the way. Yeah. All right, 2 seconds here. There we go, that will do. Okay, so I'm seated finally in the right position. And let's get, I think they're probably going to focus on the lower part of the bouzouki. So this is the capo on 2 for this one, for E major. So the first thing I need to do is to show you where that is. And am I even in tune? Sort of. Okay, I'm close enough. I'm also going to change the color, guys. It's a wee bit orangey looking. Let me see if I just do this cold or white, maybe. Well, that's even worse. Yeah, that's a little bit better, methinks. Bit more natural, even though, my goodness, I'm like a ghost. Okay. Still just nitpicking with the camera. Yeah, there we go. So getting used to the scale, get used to the tonic as well, because we're in E major. So you're just playing your D major scale, I suppose, with the capo on 2. It may put you off sometimes if you're if you use a lot of the actual sort of dots on the fretboard as guides for where your fingers are going, because your fingers aren't going in their normal places anymore. So that's going to be our tonic. That's our chord, our key chord. Let's have a listen to it with, I think probably the best thing to do here would be just to play a couple of chords in this key and see, can we come up with something, just some sort of basic chordal accompaniment for this. Okay, let's have this in the background. Okay, so I'm just going to play that maybe as a loop. That was just the audio file. I think last week we were having trouble with this looping. So this is going to be an interesting wee test if I can keep this going. Let me see if I open up this app and just see, can we just do this repeated? This was the issue last week. If any of you guys who were here last week will know, this didn't line up. It didn't sync up very well. Let's see. Maybe you have that. check my audio levels. This is the last time, hopefully it's all right. Might actually turn me down and turn up the violin, because I want you guys to actually be able to hear the violin. You need to hear the tune, and I think I'm coming through just a little bit loud, so I'm just going to turn, let me see, my bouzouki down just a smidge. I just do that and turn the OBS up a little. Yeah, let's have a go at doing that again. See what that's like. I'm still very loud. What is it with me? I'm gonna turn myself down a wee bit, quite drastically now. I need to be able to hear the fiddle. I'm gonna. How far can I go with this? Okay, now I've turned that down to like 30% off of what it was originally. So hopefully now we can actually hear the fiddle. I'm going to play the whole way through. You guys can probably see that I'm, even now that I'm still, even just with sound testing, I'm messing up with, well, I'm definitely messing up, but I'm messing around with, you know, just to try and follow the melody a little bit. You know, that da 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 dum. I can't really play that low on the tin whistle, but that boom 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 do 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 dum that you hear at the very start. I'm just going to go back and see, can you guys follow along with that? I'm trying to mimic it on the bouzouki. That little do 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 boom 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 at the start. That's that boo 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 boo. So I'm trying to do that up here. Here it is again. And again. So I could try and do it exactly. Like on the bass. Or I could try and harmonize it up here. Obviously, I don't know this tune, as you can tell. This is more of a fiddle tune, but it's a brilliant tune. And I really want to learn it. I'm going to learn it on whistle, but probably nowhere near as nice as it should be on fiddle. Like, it's just a great fiddle tune. Because it goes down really low. It goes lower than what most tin whistles can play. You know, that dum, that would be our lowest note. And then it goes bum. We can't really go that low. Actually, I like the hammer on there. Like the Penguin Cafe Orchestra thing, you know that. What am I thinking of there? There's a tune that's very like that. It's not coming to mind. Anyway, I'm gonna play through just to test out the audio, just to see what it's like. Hopefully the bouzouki isn't drowning out the fiddle as usual. Let's see. And it's here actually. It's not coming to mind. Anyway. Yeah, it's too quiet. Okay, yeah, let's try it one more time. I'll just turn the bouzouki up a wee bit again. Someday I will get a happy medium of this and actually figure out how to get the two of them sounding nice together. Okay. I've had a good few run through with it as well, making up chords and messing around and actually testing out my audio at the same time. So let me have a look-see and listen. What is it? Okay, that's about as close as I can get it. I'll obviously make this a wee bit better, a lot better if I can, in post, and you know, try and maybe turn me down and turn the violin up a wee bit, because there's times when I'm drowning it out and there's times that I'm not. And I will get better at this. I'm determined. Okay. Radio. Now, the thing to do, we've been doing it anyway, you know, just trying to mess around with a few chords and figure out what sticks, what sounds nice, what, you know, you like the sound of. But what I'm going to do is try and bring in, I tried to do this last week with the Fission app, as you can see here. So you guys were able to hopefully see this at the top and also here and see where we are. Like this would be the A section here. Then the A section repeated here, then the B section here, and the B section repeated here. So I might just repeat the A section over a little bit. The ideas that I'm coming up with here are, let me see. Yeah, there's a little part where I think Olivia is harmonizing herself with this chord, which is going to be our A major chord here. A, C, A, E, C sharp, and E. Which, if we go back to Bazooka Cam, that's the chord. There. And she doesn't actually go to that, I think, which would be our chord 5. Our B sus4. And then back to your power chord, E. So that's our power chord E, which is the key that we're in. That's the chord we're using for it. So really the three main chords here, this would be considered chord 1, our power chord E. Then our B sus4 chord for chord 5. And you can add another F sharp in there if you want a B5 chord, power chord B. And also our A major chord. Those are the three main chords. There was a little sort of B minor, or actually C sharp minor, I should say. Yeah, in the second half. And there was a part where we got to it through this, which is really a G sharp over B. If we just forget about that top E for a second. Don't worry about this spelling here. This E major 7 sharp 5 over B sharp. That is the most ridiculous everything ever. It's really just a G sharp chord. Okay, the chord 5 of your minor. Okay, and that will always want to be pulled up. Dum, dum. So. Lovely, we're going out of tune already. Lovely. There's a little bit of chordal variety in the second half where you've got this C sharp minor chord. Consider this chord 6, I think, of the key that we're in. We're in the key of E major here, so this would be your chord 6. And then the dominant chord of chord 6, so the 5 of 6 and chord 6. Those are your special little chords, and you put them in certain places, as you'll see, like during repeats, instead of playing the same chords over and over. You can put them in as like little substitute chords here and there. But the main ones you definitely should know are your E power chord. That's your chord 1. B sus4 is your chord 5. And A is your chord 4, your subdominant chord, A major. So that's your 4, 5, 1. And how many times are we going to hear that at the start? Let's see if we just go back into Fission. Okay, so there's loads of little things that I'm doing in here with the... Okay, so there's quite a bit. What I might do is slow it all down. Okay, let me see if I can just come out of this for a sec. And I'm going to create a slow version. You can see all the files. If I go to my desktop view here, you can see all the stuff that I've created. I've already done videos on how I do this, you know, which programs I use and how do I, you know, extract the audio out of certain files and slow it down, change key and all that sort of stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a new one, a new Fission app here, or new Fission file, just for a slower version of it, and just to show you guys what I do to break it up. Okay, so it is a wee bit slower. It's kind of a easier speed to learn from. I have so many ideas. I just want to take it, slow it down, and just come up with the best way possible to combine all of this stuff. So I think it's right about there that it really sort of yeah. That's the part I can't play on the whistle. That's a very clean break. Lovely. Because you can just repeat that and just make sure that it sounds okay. It's probably just cut a little bit early in there, maybe. Yeah. Still a wee bit early, methinks. Let's go a wee bit. Yeah, I just don't want to cut too much off of that. What does that sound like? Just move it back a wee smidgen more. Yeah, I think about there. There we go. Okay, what comes after? Boom, boom, boom. And is where the B section begins right there, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, so it's okay. I think right about there. Okay, let's see if we can repeat that. Oh, it's a wee bit out. Hang on. Yeah, just a wee bit. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Maybe it should just be there, just before that. That'll do. Okay. Okay, so this is a slower version, obviously nowhere near as nice as her sort of butchered the nice sort of tone that Olivia usually plays in. So this is just for learning practices, guys. It's not meant to be a nicer sound. The original is obviously better. So let's just go through it section by section. Although when you learn the A section, if you've come up with two ways of doing it, you've kind of got the repeat of the A section. There's usually not much difference in the repeat. Sometimes you will get reels where there's an entire line, like 4 bars, that are completely different on the repeat, and you do have to take that into consideration. But I think this is going to be safe enough for us to come up with something for the A section and then something similar that we can use for the B section. So let's just see. Let's just play that a few times. So maybe the first time starting up high. And the second time, doing it low. there's about 3 or 4 ideas there. I'm not really sure which one's better. So I know that I'm going to start here. Okay, so... that just too long maybe, but I'm thinking of doing this as my first little idea. And the second idea is da 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 dum da 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 da. Maybe that's just too elaborate. Okay, well, I'll see. I'll play that little section over and over again to see if I can get that first part in anyway. Okay, let me see. Where does it come in? So... yeah, it needs to be shortened just by 1 note. I need to get to there quickly. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I needed to be in that beat. Da 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 dum. So ba 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 bum. Yeah. So I want to hit that chord on the beat. Okay, let's try it now. I think I may have a little pattern here. Okay, so this is a slowed down. Can I slow it down? Okay, just gonna check audio levels again just to make sure I'm not deafening myself. Can I play this back? Okay. Okay, just gonna check audio. Okay, I think I may have got the audio levels almost correct for once. Right, let's get started into it properly because that only took like what, a long time. Okay, so here we go. Finally, to begin. That doesn't sound right either. Okay, I'm trying to come up with a connection into the second part now. I know the first part is... Nope. prefer it with a hammer on rather than ba ba bum. I kind of like. That's an idea. We'll see what it sounds like with the whole thing repeated. Just to get an idea what that A section would be with those two parts together. Here we go. Mightn't work with the second half. I'm just listening to it there. I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. If I just go over to let me see. That's still coming through. Okay, just gonna check. Go over to. Yeah, just. It's a hard one, this, because there's so many ideas. I want to try and make sure that I get the one that actually gels the best with the actual thing. It's the end of the. You can even tell by the waveform here that the waveform here is not exactly the same as the waveform here. There's a variation that she puts in, and I really want to try and get the best accompaniment for that. Da 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 dum. It's very, very different. Listen to it a few times to see can I come up with something slightly better there. I'll go back to Bazooki Cam when I'm doing this. You guys don't need to see the audio anymore. Okay, here we go. Yeah, something in there in the middle might be better. Yeah, I'm not sure, but well, let's see here. Let me see, there's something I messed up there. Does it kind of be as simple as that? No, it wasn't. It was a whole beat off. Okay. Yeah, she beat that chord. Okay. So. Okay, so it actually could be just hitting that chord and staying on it a little bit longer than I otherwise would have. So the whole A section to this piece could be something like this. Then the repeat. Repeat. Okay, here's the A section again. let's keep it the same. Like, there's not much I can do other than just strum out that A chord and hold on to it a bit longer. I don't want to go down that way. That's the first time, and the second time should be just going up high. So one's going, and the other one's going up, or that was going down low, sorry. And the other one goes up high. One of the, depends. I think it sounds better going up high when you hear that boom, which we didn't have the first time around. This A chord she's playing, which the first time around is this. See the way it doesn't hold on to it as long. Da 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 da. That was the first time. Ba 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 bum. The second time around, it's. So it's a little bit different. The first A section ends like this. And the repeat of it ends like this. Yeah, so it's da 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 da. Da 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 da. Well, the first time around it's a lot more straightforward. Ba 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 bum ba ba dum ba 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 bum. Second time around it's ba ba da 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 dum. Yeah, so it's a slightly different approach. It just gels better if you go up high. So let's see, can we just go through maybe the first? I think we've got the chords definitely, but it's just the sort of counterpoint of it. Here we go. Yeah, there's a couple of things that might sound nicer there. Yeah, there's so many. Oh my goodness, it's one of these tunes that you think, oh, it's going to be so nice to put chords to, and then you think, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, and then you've just too many options. So I have to cut a few things out here. There's just too many things I've got going on. Yeah, I might move that down a little bit later. Yeah, to there. I won't bother with that. Leave that to the second time round. Yeah, that's what I'll do the second time round. I think that's what I had originally, which was the... Yeah, that's what I had originally. Okay, so yeah, I think I've got a better structure of it this time, because I only want to hit the G. When I hear that A section, I really only hear the E chord. And I say G, it's A, what am I on about? It's capo's on too. So I hear the E chord, and I hear the A chord. Don't really need the B chord, the B sus4. So I'm going to keep him until the repeat the phrase again. Yeah, do you hear it there? Dum, dum, dum. Yeah, so... Yeah, so the first time around it's just going from E, E5 to G, to A. Stop calling it G, Declan. A, back to E5. Yeah, that will remind me. Da 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 dum. Going down to the scale because that's just going to be hitting that E5 out again. Yeah, second term round. Yeah, I think that's the first time I played it correct. So mark wherever that is on the on the video, just so that I remember. Okay, so just going to slow it down again. So this is the entire counterpoint of that A section and the repeat of it. it's not as bad when you speed it up because you don't have to think about it so much. It's when you try to think about where you're going, you end up messing it up. But I don't want to speed it up just yet because I'll probably mess it up again. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I can do it fast, but when I slow it down, it's... I have to really think hard. Yeah, okay. Let's try it. Yeah, that B section's still a bit rusty because we haven't really looked at it yet. Okay, well, we've got the A part, I think. Okay, the B part. Let me have a listen to the B part. can't think of anything better than actually just the chords. I think the chords just sound nice. Maybe do a variation so I'm not always going bum bum da 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 da. Da, 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 bum, bum, bum. Okay, that's how we listen to that again. I think like a lot of the tunes that we've done, the B section always sounds, because it goes higher, it always sounds better just to have it, more sort of homophonic, more chordal, where you're not worried about counterpoint stuff. You can, of course, just keep doing the same stuff that we did at the beginning for the A section, that we were doing for each chord, for the D and for the G. I do that quite a bit, where instead of playing the actual G, or keep saying G, with capo 1 2, this is an A chord. For that, I just split that up, as so for this it'd be. So you see the way I'm not playing instead of playing that chord, so it's like the chord's kind of split between that hammer on. Okay, let's try and do this up to full speed. That was all slow, so I'm just going to, is there a way I could save as? Yeah, save cue sheet and save slow. Okay. I'm going to see, can I do this now with, yeah, up to full speed. I'll do it a couple of times. Reason why not. using it and thinking, this part. Ah. I keep doing the wrong one in the wrong order. That's the first one. Okay, let's do it from the start again. I will get it someday. Is that a different one again? Yeah, I think I've taken that out. You could do that the second time round, the whole A section's repeated. Oh, there's too many different things now. Let me see. There's going to be a more straightforward way. At least I know what the main ideas are. That's going to be the main thing. It's just up to it's up to yourself to decide where you're going to put these things, and I can't. And that's the problem, is I can't decide. I kind of like all the different versions of it. So yeah, I have to figure out a way around that. I think for the first half, the A section's where most of the work is. Yeah, maybe putting it down low might be a nice sort of change. because it does go well with the ending of it. And then the second part could be higher. I kind of like that now, because I'm getting them mixed up, and if I tend to do that when I'm learning it, as you guys know, this, like, I haven't really sort of, as you can definitely tell, I haven't really prepared anything other than just getting the files ready for tonight. So when you're learning stuff like this for the first time and you're just trying to put it together, chords and counterpoint and stuff, you're better coming up with a system of how to remember it as well. So if you find that even when you're learning it for the first time that you're forgetting, stuff that you've come up with yourself, it's not even that you're learning new things from somebody else, or you're learning it from written music. You're creating stuff yourself and you're still forgetting. That's kind of a sign that maybe you need to figure out another way of pulling the information or pulling the ideas together. So rather than having both of them starting up high, I'm going to replace that now, starting down low. Because that's now very different from... So it may look even more complicated, but it's actually easier, I think, anyway, that you've now got two totally different, or at least more different sections. So you're not going to confuse them as easily as I kept doing when I was playing it up to full speed. I was thinking, right, which one's this? And then when you're doing it that fast and you're thinking, am I doing this one or this one? Then you've already missed your cue to hit the correct notes at the correct time. So you're better coming up with like something different maybe. Yeah, I kind of like that now. Okay, let's see. Moment of truth. me try that again. Yeah, okay. Yeah, which one am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah, I better do that. That sounds better. Rather than just... Because then I'm kind of losing my stride for that part there. You know, if I keep that going with the right hand, it's easier to get into the... I'm just making sure I'm hitting that on a down. Okay, so now that I know to keep that going, let's see, can we keep it going with the tune? Oh, it's so much easier. That's better at the end. It might be nice if it was in tune, but it's probably not. I need to change the strings. Okay. One final run through, guys, and I promise to leave it there. So what we're going to do is just take maybe one thing at a time. Okay, so just from the A section into the B section. So here's the A. Okay, so this is the A first time. Then repeated. And it's important when you repeat that when you're doing this part, to have those E's. For me anyway, that makes it easier to do the up to full speed. Before I was trying to do and go straight into that little part there after. Okay. So the whole A section in one go. And again. B part. Sorry, I messed that up a wee bit, but yeah, you get the idea. Here it is again. We'll pause this time. Or you could do like I think that's what I was doing before. Bit buzzy. We'll have to change these strings and tune them. Okay. Right. I think we got it. It took us a while, but I think we finally got the right combination of chords and everything. So let me see. Can I record myself playing this normally? Hey guys. So I'm just going to change over a wee bit. Actually get my headphones a bit more comfortable as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is record just with me playing it without the fiddle. Okay, so hopefully that will make sense in a second. If I can put this back to full version of me. Yeah. There we go. So I'm going to record just with the with the bouzouki. Let's see. Moment of truth. I don't destroy the instrument before picking it up. I don't. Oh, I do. Okay, so let's see. May zoom out a wee smidgen. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to move. I'll record it as a short. That's what I'll do. Yeah. There you go. So hopefully this mic, I'm trying to get this mic as far out of the way as possible. It's blocking everything. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to adjust this as well, just to make sure that you can actually see a wee bit more. All right, I'll try and push it back a wee bit and see if you guys can still hear the audio while I'm playing this. So hopefully you guys aren't hearing anything. Doesn't look like it. That's good. Okay, here we go. Okay, hold on. Okay. Anyhow, I'm just going to put it back to the main screen just for a second. Let me see. Yeah. Radio. I think we've more or less got it. Kind of. I've recorded properly. I'm not sure how well that recording will have come out, but if it hasn't come out very well, then what we'll do is we'll record it properly. Yeah. So let me see. Yeah. I'm just going to try one more run through of a little short recording. Okay. And I'm going to change it so it's not as whitish. Oh my goodness. Oof. Okay. Slightly more mellow. Okay, okay. This is the last attempt at doing this. Here we go. Right, my fingers are about to fall off, so we'll call it a night there, lads. And what I'll do is I'll put that together properly. I've got about 3 or 4 different recordings of it now, so hopefully one of them is taken. It usually takes a little bit longer than that, what I think. This is the problem with doing it this way, but hopefully one of them is going to work. So I've got one as a portrait, I've got one as landscape, and I've got one with me playing on my own, and another one playing with the fiddle. So there's quite a few recordings to use, so hopefully one of them is usable. Okay, doke, we'll leave it there tonight, guys, and as usual, like and subscribe if you want more tutorials on how I come up with stuff. If you want to see, you know, it is a slow process, as you can tell, but if you want to see more of jigs and reels or anything in particular like you would want to learn, just let me know. Especially if it's tunes that I don't know, and there's definitely loads that I would like to learn, and I have no idea what they are until you guys suggest them. So anything that you want to learn, I'll want to learn as well. I guarantee it. Just let me know. And tomorrow night as well, I keep forgetting to say this. Tomorrow night is the Ask Me Anything session. That's going to be starting at 5. So yeah, hopefully see you there. And thanks very much, guys. And I'll see you next time.